Hello you guys, this is Sharzad Morgan and I want to break down in this video why you may have such a difficult time finding someone to date after 35, let's say, especially after 40. And the older you get, the more difficult it is to find someone. There is nothing wrong with you. This is what I've come up with after 12 years of being divorced. Cheers, by the way. You can have a drink with me if you want. Nice Pinot Noir. Okay, so I came up with this little chart. Okay, out of all the people, let's say that 10 or 15% are not interested in relationships at all. They're like social outcasts, incels, you know, someone who has no interest in dating. There are people like that. So let's take out 10%. So let's say 90% of the world, of the population, wants to date. Now, 40% of the people have issues. This is why they get divorced, and these are the healthy people. I'm going to assume that 50% of the people are healthy, 40% have issues. All these people want to date, and 10% do not want to date. Okay, so that's our starting assumption. Now, what are issues? Issues are things that when you see people get divorced after 2 years or 5 years or even 10 years, they can't even make it to 25. But usually for any kind of divorce, at least one person has some kind of an issue. Usually. I mean, people can grow apart, but usually at least one person has a mental health issue. They could be extremely avoidant, drug addiction, alcohol addiction, low functioning, like they're unable to hold a job, they're unable to have a conversation, they're low functioning. They could be emotionally unstable, borderline personality disorder, very explosive. I can't think of other reasons right now, but abusive. They hit, they yell. These kind of relationships are extremely unstable and they do not last. So I put 40% of people into that. And then we have, like, let's say half of people are healthy at relating. They're reliable, they're stable, they're functioning at work, and they're functional in their home life with their friends, with their family. They know how to repair, they're not volatile, you can count on them. You know, they take care of their health and everything. Now, what happens is that most people that want relationships are going to get into them, usually in high school, college, in their 20s, and maybe their first relationship doesn't last, but usually somewhere in the 20s, by early 30s at the latest. People that like relationships are going to get married. They're going to get married. Okay, that's a thing that people do. People who don't get married have other issues. Like, why aren't you getting married? There's usually something else going on that keeps them from getting married. Some kind of fear, some kind of reluctance. You can correct me if I'm wrong. Okay, so these healthy people, these 50% that I showed you, they're going to stay married because people don't get tired of each other unless one person has issues and they get tired of dealing with that. So I just updated my graph, okay? So 10% of people do not want a relationship. They're like, no. 40% of people have issues. They're going to get divorced. And 50% of people are healthy at relating. If these people find each other, they will stay married for their whole life. Okay, I'm sure there are exceptions, but in general, they will stay married. They will have difficulties. They will work through them because they're relatable. And especially if they have children and they have a friendship, they have a business together, they'll stick it out. A lot of these people really do love each other, and they're relationship type of people. They will work it out. So, and these people are off the market. They start getting off the market in their early 20s. Like you hear like high school sweethearts that get married or college sweethearts that get married. And as you start approaching age 30, 32, all these people are going to be gone. So by the time you hit your mid-30s, if you're still single, what have you got? Not that many people. You have these people that don't want to date. Maybe they'll hook up, but maybe they can't even handle that. And then you have these divorced people with issues. Or people with issues, maybe they just never even got married. That's what's left. And the older you are, the more this is left. Now, how likely is it that one of these people gets divorced? It does happen. I consider myself in this category of healthy relating, okay? And I consider my ex-husband in this category, but he did find a wife who likes him, so who knows? But he definitely has passive-aggressive avoidant issues and communication issues, but I guess he's married to someone who doesn't mind. I do not know how happy he is and if they'll stay married, so I shouldn't even say. But what is left, the older you get, the more these people are gone. If you're 40 and you're looking for a relationship, you have this. That's the problem. Okay? The good people are gone. Now, you could have someone who's healthy like me, who was married to someone who was very avoidant, didn't want to deal with things, but, you know, I stayed with him because of the kids and other things. But there are not that many of us. And by the time we get older, also we get very picky. I do not want to deal with someone who's avoidant again. And there are not that many of these people that come on the market. Very few of these people come on the market. Usually you have these kind of people. And another thing, the older you get, the less likely you are to be like, hell yes to something. Because if you make your own money and you're happy with your life, you're like, what is this person going to add to my life? Well, for a lot of guys, it's like, well, I want a woman because she's going to give me sex. And I think that's like a valid point. I mean, sex is a good reason, but that's not enough of a reason. I think that it's easier to fall in love with someone the younger we are. This is what I think. Because as people get older, they get worn down by life, not just physically where they're less attractive, that's okay, but mentally and emotionally, they get worn out through the disappointments of life. And people become a little more guarded, a little bit more jaded, and a little bit more set in their ways. And that makes them less attractive. In my case, for example, I'm going to be very honest. The men that want to date me are men over 70, and I don't find them attractive. Now, over the years, when I was married, I experienced that my ex-husband often looked old and ugly and very wrinkly, but I loved him anyway because because of our shared history, and he was the father of my children, and I could look through his ugliness to love him. But I can't do that with someone that I have no history with. I think women are better at looking past men's looks because we can love a man or be attracted to a man or desire a man based on his personality and how he treats us. And I think men are a lot more taken in by the looks, but maybe I'm wrong. I'm just here sharing. And it's harder to fall in love with an old man who's run down looking, and has already built his life, and he's had his ways and whatever, and we didn't grow in together and build something together, and now I have to fall in love with this guy who's really kind of ugly and wrinkly. Looks like a grandpa. Like, I would have to fall in love with a grandpa. The reason I say that is because I used to work in a nursing home when I was in college, and men in their 70s, they remind me of nursing home patients. Now, I know a lot of women like older men. I just don't. I like them younger. But what's a young man going to do? He's not my equal. A man in his 30s or 40s is too young for me. I'm 63. I find them attractive, but they're too young. So that's my dilemma. I don't regret that I got married at all. I got to have a really good family life. My ex-husband is a really good dad. pretty good dad. Why did I get divorced? You might want to know why I got divorced. And I was really thinking about the other day because I was going through my photo albums and I'm like, I look so sad in all these pictures. And I remember how much I loved parts of my life, like being with my kids, doing my workouts, getting my MBA, doing my studies, doing my real estate work. Like all these things really excited me. But there was one area of my life that always broke my heart. And that was the relationship with my husband. It caused me a great deal of pain because when I made bids for connection, he would poo-poo it. He would poo-poo my bids for connection. This is something that I want to point out in case any of you guys are doing it. The Gottman Institute, the researchers, the Gottmans, found that people in relationships, they will make bids for connection. Like right now, I'm making a bid for connection. I'm making a video and I'm hoping someone will watch it. Or, I call a friend and I want to talk to them. That's a bid for connection. Or, hey, have you read this book? Or would you like to go to this thing with me? Those are bids for connection. And somebody can say, oh yeah, that's a great idea. Or they can go, why would you want to go to that? They can shut you down. My ex-husband shut me down a lot. And when it came to anything that had to do with just him and me, like our dating life, our sex life, going to parenting classes together, he didn't want to ever do anything alone with me or do something with me that was just me because he was very avoidant. But I stayed with him because of my family life, and he was the breadwinner, and I didn't want to be a single mom, and I liked my family life. And it wasn't until the kids got older that I was no longer okay with being rejected with these bits of connection that I left him. And I look younger now, and I look happier now. I don't have those sad look on my face anymore. Like, I think it just killed the life out of me, sucked the soul out of me. And so I found my joy in other things. But bids for connection would be like this. I'm going to give you some examples. Like, hey, I would love to take a trip just with you and me. Just you and me take a trip. No, I don't want to do that. He'd always want to bring the kids along. It was just a lot of stuff like that. But I'm a very independent person. I found my own things to do. But every once in a while, maybe every few months or so, and I'd be like, hey, do you want to do this? Do you want to do that? Can we do this parenting class together? I don't want to do that. You just tell me about it. Can we go? You want to go to the parent-teacher conferences with me? No, I have to work. You tell me about it. It was always kind of like that. I remember this one time when one of our kids was very little, he and I were walking with the stroller through a farmer's market. And I still remember, this was like 30 years ago, that I felt so disconnected from him because he would get excited about everything except me. Which is so interesting because now in my work with men, they enjoy me. Like people I meet now, they think I'm great, they think I'm funny, they think I'm interesting, they think I'm beautiful, they know how to connect with me and look at me and have empathy for me. There are so many men that have that capability that he just didn't have. Because frankly, his mother was a cold bitch. She never hugged him, she never loved him. So he learned to shut down his feelings. So even though he was kind and respectful and he told me I was pretty and I was smart and I was such a good runner and he always encouraged me, emotionally he was never there. There was no connection. That was painful enough that when the kids were little, I just distracted myself with other things. And I had a 10-year Vicodin addiction. All because that I had coping mechanisms. I think people develop coping mechanisms. But now I don't need a coping mechanism anymore. I don't want a coping mechanism. This is me now wanting only honest relating. And I'm not saying I was the best at relationships. I've grown since my divorce because I've had the opportunity to do a lot of personal improvement stuff. that I can do now, because when I was married, I wasn't allowed to spend money on that. Like, we can't go to the Tantra class, Sharzad. We need to do this thing on the house. The thing that we didn't need, but he was like excited about all these house projects. If you read my book, The Fuck List, I go into that a lot more. So, now, like I said, he got remarried and he found somebody who appreciates him for the way he is, so that's good. So not everybody needs someone who knows how to emotionally connect. But I do. I do. Anyway, the point being, I don't think I'll ever date again, because when I first got divorced, I didn't know what I showed you in this graph. I thought that, oh, well, there'll be a lot of other divorced people. There'll be a world of divorced people that can date each other and have like a second start. But it's not as easy as that. And also for men, it's not that easy, because most women are extremely fat and ugly after 40. I was at a winery the other day and I was shocked. These women that were my age, they looked old and run down. Not run through like they'd been fucked a lot, but run down. Like their hair wasn't shiny anymore. They were fat. Women get really chubby and they're not attractive. You know, and I'm 63. I still think I look good and I still feel good, despite all the thing I had to go through with my leg. But the point being that if you want to date after 40, you have to be willing to make a lot of sacrifices. You have to want a relationship bad enough to put up with someone who's fat, ugly, and has a lot of problems, issues, because if they were never married, that's a huge red flag already. But if they were married, why did they get divorced? Now, you might say I'm a red flag because I got divorced, but I was the one who left him because I kept growing. I kept growing. And if one person keeps growing and the other doesn't, and my self-growth was more important to me than staying with him, because staying with him, it was killing my spirit. It was like, I want to connect. And you keep pushing me away. Like, no. If you're going to keep pushing me away, I don't even want to be with you. And in the end, he pretty much was like, yeah, I can't give you what you want. I can't connect with you. Like, can you fuck me and look at me instead of fucking me with your eyes closed? This is what he did. When it came to sex, it was like a 1-minute rabbit fuck. Eyes closed, never looked at me, never kissed me, would get mad if I said I love you during sex. But outside of the bedroom, he was just a normal, respectful guy. I was just done with that, like done. So I don't know how he is with his wife now. Maybe she doesn't care because she's walled off. I don't know. I don't want to say anything bad about them. I don't know anything about their relationship. I think he's happy and she's happy, but I really don't know. So I don't know where he or I really fit in that chart. This is just kind of more like a working theory of, you're not going to find anything good out there after 40. It's going to be really hard for you to find your perfect partner after 40, because the good people, they're in a relationship and they're gone. Like, say that you want someone who's also Jewish or Protestant or whatever religion you are. Good luck. There are not those really religious men. They get married very young. Or say you want someone who's college educated. Those guys, they're gone fast. Not that many college educated men. Or you want a man who's like got his own business. These guys are off the market. A guy has his own business. He's good with people. He's reliable. He keeps his word. He's hardworking. He likes relationships. Boom. This guy is married for life. So what's out there, and I know what's out there because I tried dating guys in their 50s when I was in my 50s, and they're very flaky. Like, they would ask me on dates and then cancel, or I would be like, oh, I think this guy's way beneath me, but I'm willing to go out with him. And they'd be like super boring, or just, and then when I was out in public, I would see these guys who were like, oh my God, I can feel the relationship vibe of this guy. And there's no ring. So I was like, I'm going to go talk to him. and inevitably a woman comes up and sits by him, or he says he's in a relationship. So I have a good vibe, because men who are relationship material, I can read it on their face. Can you guys? Can you ladies? They have a sensual face. Like, I watch a lot of YouTube videos, and I can tell from the podcaster if he has a relationship vibe. Nothing against Jimmy Dore, but I have a guess he is not in a relationship. Same with Gerald Celente. My guess is no relationship. Judge Napolitano, he's a very ugly man, but my guess is he's in a relationship. I can just tell. So that's what I'm talking about. And you don't have to be a good-looking guy, but you have to be a relationship guy. You have to have empathy. You have to have your life in order. There's something I can read about it. But anyway, there are a lot of broken people out there. And if you get divorced, if you're still single after 40, that's what you're going to find. With the men and with the women, you're going to find people who are flaky and who are low functioning. Low functioning means they can't manage their money. They can't manage their life or their emotions, their friendships, their responsibilities, keeping a clean home, staying accountable, showing up for work, doing a good job. They can't. They're low functioning. A lot of them have mental health disorders, bipolar, borderline personality, histrionic personality disorder, some kind of an addiction. They're emotionally unstable, abusive, a lot of yelling or withdrawing. I don't want to talk about it. I'm going to check out. A lot of cheating as an avoidance strategies, gaslighting, manipulating. You have people like Donald Trump, who is a relationship guy for sure, and he's a jerk, but he keeps finding women because he's a relationship guy. So if a guy has money and he's a relationship guy, he can keep finding women. That's what I think, because those men don't seem to lack for women. But anyway, there's nothing wrong with you if you haven't met anyone, because just stick by your standards. It's not good for singles after 40. Is what I'm telling you. Occasionally we will hear of someone who found someone. It does happen, but it's rare. It's rare. And then you have to deal with a host of other issues, like, okay, this guy that's your age, let's say he's in his 50s or 60s, he's going to have kids. So you're going to have to get along with his kids. And there's going to be a mom that these kids have. Some of you have to get along with that. And then he's going to have a life already, like he's going to have a house somewhere. Do you like his house? Do you like his neighborhood? I live in an apartment, but it's nice. I love my apartment. But I've dated guys that lived in a house in like one of those crappy San Diego neighborhoods. I don't care that he has a house. Have you seen some of these houses built in the 70s? In Mira Mesa, Claremont Mesa, there are a lot of very rundown neighborhoods in San Diego. These houses are like 600,000-700,000, but they're trash. They should be $50K. The front yard is gravel. The houses haven't been painted. It's so depressing. I remember this one guy liked me, and I went over to his house, and I was driving through the neighborhood, and I'm like, no, I will never date this guy, because I do not like driving through this neighborhood. And that's another thing. You get a lot more picky, because when I was married, we bought a house I didn't like, but I was willing to put up with it. I'm not willing to put up with it anymore. I'm not willing to put up with it, because I have my own money and I like where I live, and I do not want to live in a neighborhood with houses that have like pebbles in the front yard where the paint is not done. Like, I like looking at my trees and my birds, and it's very pretty, and I have a lot of light, and I love my home. That's another thing you have to deal with. Like, where does this guy live? What if there's another guy, I thought he was really handsome, but his house was so dark and gloomy. I'm like, I can't be in this house. It's so depressing. Like, I just go to a gym. All the gyms I go to have light. A lot of light. Floor to ceiling glass. I don't want to be in a dark house. I don't want it. I just don't want it. Like, I'm just repulsed. So that's another thing. Like, we get more picky. I don't want to be with a guy who smokes. or a guy who's messy, like I don't want it. I don't want it bad enough anymore, because I think when we're young, there's this thing like, I've never done this, let me try it, or I want to have kids. And then maybe we're willing to put up with more things because we fell in love with this guy. He had ambitions and prospects, but now you're just like dating this boring guy in this neighborhood with all these pebbles in the front yard, no greenery at all, in a dungy house, and like, what am I going to do with him? I wouldn't even know what to do with him. So for me, it's a total, the whole relationship thing, I've turned sour on it. It's not for me. I have my own thing. I have my own stuff going. I have my sugar daddies. So I get male attention and male affection. I'm going to tell you one more thing about these sugar daddies who don't even really know me that well. When they come to see me for sugaring, they are more attentive to me than my ex-husband ever was, because I actually attract empathetic, sensual men, not avoidant men. Somehow I don't attract avoidant men. It's very rare. They want to look at me, they want to kiss me, they want to be attentive to me, not because they're people pleasers, but because they're men who know how to enjoy a woman. And my ex-husband did not know how to delight in me, how to enjoy me. He liked my body, but he didn't know how to delight in my body, how to delight in my pleasure, how to delight in just looking at me while we're being intimate together, like these guys do. And they love to kiss me. They love to kiss me. My ex-husband never wanted to kiss me. So my life is better off now than when I was married. So people who haven't even gotten to the end of the video, I already know some of the comments are going to be like, yeah, you're such a slut, you're such a tramp. Okay, I'll take it. I don't care. You can say whatever you want. The point is, I'm better off now. If I still had young kids, I would not have divorced. Period. Because I was willing to sacrifice my relationship connection, my sex life, because I didn't want to be a single mom. I didn't want to break up my family. I didn't want to see my kids half the time. And I believe children need a father, and he was a good father. And he was a reliable husband. But now that the kids are grown, I get to be with men who actually appreciate me. And why would I give that up to get into a relationship with one man? Because some of my sugar daddies are pretty young and hot. They're mostly very hot. Not that I need them to be, but it helps. They're usually pretty young, pretty hot, really fit. And they appreciate me. Some of them are older than I am. Some of them are my age. And they appreciate me. And they like me. And they delight in me. And I feel emotionally fulfilled. I feel connected. And then when they go, I don't even think about them anymore, honestly. So I do have that desire to be with a man, to be touched by a man, to touch a man, to have a man like moan when I touch him and do things to him. I love all that. I love sex, but not just with anyone, just with my sugar daddies. So don't try to hit me up. Can't. That's a separate thing, separate people that I have for that. But I'm sharing here that I found a way to get my needs met and meet other men's needs outside of the traditional relationship structure, because the men that I looked at for dating, and none of these guys would want to date me probably, or I wouldn't even want to date them. But there's something beautiful about people just coming together, hugging each other, appreciating each other, because that's what works for me. It's very unconventional. It's very unconventional, but that's what it is. So now, if I did meet somebody wanting to date, I would get rid of all my sugar daddies, because I'm not like polyamorous or a swinger or anything like that. I'm not into that. But what what could a man offer me to have me give up my freedom, my sugar daddies, just to be with a guy, what, some 70-year-old? No, thank you. Not into it. I don't know why I don't like old men for dating. A lot of women do. They like the grandpas. Maybe they have daddy issues. I think the women that like really old men have daddy issues. I don't have any daddy issues. I had a dad who loved me. I felt loved by my dad. I don't have like the best relationship with him anymore because he doesn't like the sugar daddy thing. But that's his issue. I don't care. I know he loves me. I love him. We have fond feelings. So I don't feel this need to have like this older man step in as a daddy figure. My dad was there for me when I was younger. He knew what we were up to. He always made sure that my mom had enough money, that we lived in a good neighborhood, even after they were divorced. And he always stepped in if he thought I was dating a man that didn't have a college degree. He's like, Sharzad, you cannot date this guy. He doesn't have a college degree. You know, you can't do that. I broke up. I remember this one guy really liked him. My dad's like, you can't date him. He doesn't have a college degree. That was back when college degrees were like a lot more important than they are now. This was back in the 80s. So he looked out for me. He was there. So there were never any men that tried to like prey on me like the Epstein girls. The Epstein girls were preyed upon because there was no father. And even though my parents were divorced, my dad was there. He was around. Okay, so there was no chance for any man to come like try to take advantage of us. So this is one of my longer videos, and I'm making it because I'm finally not in pain anymore with this leg thing. I was in a lot of pain for like 2 or 3 months, and I didn't feel like making videos, but I've been feeling good the last week, so I've been making videos again. But anyway, to come back to the end, this is the chart. 10% of people will never even want a relationship. I would say that 40% of people have issues. Their relationships will blow up within a few years, and because they're very unstable. And then about 50% of people, and I'm making up these numbers, are healthy relationship people. And once they get married, they stay married. Those are the forever marriages. So if you happen to find yourself divorced, either because you are one of the rare people in the healthy side that got divorced, or maybe you were like not that healthy and you married someone who was an alcoholic or avoidant, you did a lot of work on yourself and now you're healthy and you're divorcing this loser who was always like cheating on you and drunk and whatever, and now you find yourself out here and you just find men with issues. Same for you guys. You just find women with issues. So like they're fat, they have a lot of debt, they ran around on their kids, they're like have a revolving door of men. There's broken women and broken men. That's what's out there after 40. Broken people. And you got to be desperate to get into that, or you have to be extremely lucky and find that rare needle in a haystack. But I want to know what you think. What do you think is out there after 40? Okay? What do you think is out there? I want to know. I really want to know.